There's a very interesting update in the Timothy Busfield, Melissa Gilbert situation. So he's a famed actor and director, and she's famous from her time on Little House on the Prairie and went on to do some directing too. And he's been on the lam. He was, and a warrant for his arrest was issued on Friday out of New Mexico for allegedly molesting 2 7-year-old boys. We went through it in detail in our Monday show. So that was issued on Friday. He didn't turn himself in. Saturday, he didn't turn himself in. Sunday, he didn't turn himself in. Monday, he didn't turn himself in. All day yesterday, he didn't turn himself in. I mean, it's crazy. And it was to the point where a team of agents, do we have that video, you guys? Went to his house in upstate New York that he shares with Melissa Gilbert with a battering ram. And the Daily Mail, this is the guy, for the listening audience, battering open his front door. There are numerous agents on site, numerous trucks on site. They've got the flak helmets on. They've got the long guns. They broke open the door of his home, going in, looking for him. So shit's getting real. They're starting to take it very seriously now. They were not sitting around waiting for Timothy Busfield to go in on child molestation charges. And apparently an hour prior to that, he did finally show up in New Mexico and turned himself in day 5 after the arrest warrant was issued, and then issued this on-camera video. Watch this.
Hi, everybody. It's Tim. I'm sure most of you know that are watching this that I was ordered to come to Albuquerque. I'm here now. I got the call Friday night. I had to get a lawyer. Saturday, I got in a car and drove 2,000 miles to Albuquerque. I'm going to confront these lies. They're horrible. They're all lies. And I did not do anything to those little boys. And I'm going to fight it. I'm going to fight it with a great team. And I'm going to be exonerated. I know I am, because this is all so wrong and all lies. So hang in there. And hopefully I'm out real soon. And back to work. And I love everybody for supporting me. Thank you.
Okay. No explanation other than I had to drive 2,000 miles to Albuquerque. No, you call and you say, I'm ready to surrender myself. Where would you like me to do it? Clearly they did not know where he was or what he was doing, or we would not have seen a battering ram being used on his upstate New York property within an hour of him turning himself in New Mexico. He clearly had not been in communication with anybody. We don't know where he was, what he was doing. You do not need to drive 2,000 miles to Albuquerque. There are these magical things called planes, and they'll get you right there when a warrant is out for your arrest. Had to get a lawyer. The things he was listing to me did not sound like real reasons to delay by 5 days your turning yourself in. Something's up here. And if you look at the comments where this video is posted, they're very overwhelmingly negative. People do not believe him. And I'll tell you why they don't believe him, Emily. It's because we all have a natural lie detector in our guts. And whether you know it or not, you have a lifetime of experience that feeds it and fuels that lie detector. And it's little subtle things that your brain knows that you might not even be conscious of, that it's perceiving, that are telling you, I don't believe him. And we reached out to our own friend, the human lie detector, Phil Houston. 25 years at the CIA. He invented the deception detection method being used at the CIA, at the FBI, and at law enforcement departments all over the United States, the Secret Service. You keep going. Phil Houston is the one who came up with it. He is a human lie detector. He knows all the signs of lying. And he spent half of that time in the CIA figuring out bad guys who we believed were assets of ours, who in fact had wound up working for a foreign adversary. And the other half figuring out at CIA HQ who of our agents had turned on us and was a double agent. I mean, this guy was placed in the most serious positions you could be to figure out who's lying. So he's a true expert. He wrote the book Spy the Lie. You should read it. So he's running a firm now called Q Verity, and he has created an AI lie detector that goes by the letter Q. They've given him the gender he, but Q, and I've talked to him many times about Q, and Q has a 97% accuracy rate of determining whether someone is being deceptive. And if you're being deceptive, he gives you the conclusion of deceptive behavior indicated. He doesn't say lie. He says deceptive behavior indicated. And I'm going to read you the Q analysis of Timothy Busfield's statement. provided to us by Phil Houston and Q Verity. The speaker repeatedly offers irrelevant background and assurances, greeting the audience, describing his travel to Albuquerque, mentioning he hired a lawyer, vowing to confront and fight the allegations, calling them lies, and thanking supporters, none of which directly address the specific charge of molesting children. These off-topic details function as avoidance tactics, diverting attention from the core question. Only after this extended narrative does he briefly deny the accusation, quote, "I did not do anything to those little boys," end quote. A minimal response following extensive digression that is characteristic of a deceptive approach to the allegations. Conclusion, deceptive behavior indicated. And then Phil added the following. In our opinion, this is a great example of a situation where a lot of people will believe his remarks because of the aggressive delivery approach and his attack behavior toward the opposition. In reality, it's the type of response we often see from people who have committed serious wrongdoing. For the record, he denies the charges and plans to deny and defend them in court. This is from somebody I trust implicitly when it comes to these analyses. Take it with a grain of salt. It's obviously not foolproof. It could be wrong 3% of the time, but very interesting. No?
Well, it's very interesting you brought that up, because my reaction to watching the video was, I do not believe him and something is off. Something was weird about the video. And so then to have Phil come in and with the AI tool produce that explanation, which is helpful for being so specific and pointing to exactly what I was trying to think of, what felt off to me about the video. And it was exactly that. It was, he was bringing in all of this different stuff. I wouldn't have necessarily jumped to, oh, that's a sign of deception. But when you think about it, Phil's explanation makes a lot of sense. It's like this attempt to be aggressive. But we already know from what you just pointed out, he's evading, he's not telling the whole truth or even the truth at all when he talks about getting in his car and going to New Mexico. Just logically, that sets your lie radar off. But then also, you can see him saying it with such, he's attempting to be so calm and cool and collected about it, but it just doesn't make any sense. So I agreed before I saw that result from the AI that something felt weird and off about that video. It's starting to look like he's in very big trouble. And Megyn, your coverage of this has been huge. It's like other people are staying away from the story for some reason, but it's a big one.
It gets to the heart of what many of us have believed about Hollywood for a long time, which is that there are a disgusting number of pedophiles running around hurting children, and that you have an industry that looks the other way. I mean, the police affidavit squarely points at Warner Brothers, saying their behavior has been to delay, to obstruct, to not assist in the police investigation about whether this happened. Why would they do that? There was a court order that they produced documentation. They had done an internal investigation to the cops. They stalled for 3 months. The cop pointing out there were other children on sets within the Warner Brothers lots while this is going on. And one of the allegations was that the reason this was able to happen, allegedly, was that the woman responsible for keeping an eye on the minors while on set was busy talking to others and milling about the set and did not have eyes on these boys at all times, and that he, as the director, was able to go on set where there were beds at times and fondle the boys when nobody else was looking. This is after they had cut tape. He was the director, so he controlled when the tape was rolling and when it wasn't. And he controlled where people were on the set too. When he dismissed people from the set, they would leave. And he would understand, I want to go talk to the boys, give me a minute, and go in there. And without that woman there watching them, he would have known he had an opportunity to do something to the children. And so these are the allegations as laid out by the police affidavit. Again, he denies them. But that's part of why it's such a compelling story, which is, we've heard from Corey Feldman. We heard what happened at Nickelodeon. This is not the first and only story we've heard along these lines. And it's a disgusting industry. Let's face it. We all have seen enough evidence to know that.
Well, when you brought up the Nickelodeon allegations and actually revelations last week, I was thinking more about that because this has so many eerie similarities. And it's not eerie. I mean, it's actually quite logical that something like this would have transpired in a similar fashion, because what we've learned from a lot of the allegations and revelations that have come out of Nickelodeon in the 90s, when I was watching it in early 2000s, is that this was systematic. It was there were all of these like lacking safeguards. You go back and you listen to the stories of these kids, and you just, Corey Feldman being another good example, it's astounding how little supervision and how much trust was granted to people who abused it and then abused children by abusing the trust. But that's why this story, I think, is so important, because you can see in it the hallmarks of how this has happened systematically in Hollywood for decades and is still happening right now.
With the studio itself appearing to run cover for the accused instead of for the alleged victims. I do want to say that Warner Brothers itself denies that. They say they've responded in a timely manner, that they've been very cooperative, and that they do everything to protect the children on their set. And again, Timothy Busfield denies this. He says that it's a money grab. He says that the lead actress of the show heard an admission from the mother when the two boys got fired that she was going to exact revenge on Timothy Busfield. So we'll see. That woman, that actress, refused to speak to the cops. Seems like something she would have done if she had that kind of exonerating information. But okay, that's going to be his defense, and we'll see. I'm not closing the book on Timothy Busfield's guilt or innocence. I'm saying this all stinks. Right now, I have plenty of reason to doubt him. And I just, having read the Phil Houston and the Q analysis, again, just a reminder, he said, the speaker repeatedly offers a relevant background and assurances and goes through them, none of which directly addresses the specific charge of molesting children. These off-topic details function as avoidance tactics, diverting attention from the core question. Only after this extended narrative does he briefly deny the accusation, a minimal response following extensive digression. Let's watch it one more time, having heard the analysis from Q. Watch.
Hi, everybody. It's Tim. I'm sure most of you know that are watching this that I was ordered to come to Albuquerque. I'm here now. I got the call Friday night. I had to get a lawyer. Saturday, I got in a car and drove 2,000 miles to Albuquerque. I'm going to confront these lies. They're horrible. They're all lies. And I did not do anything to those little boys. And I'm going to fight it. I'm going to fight it with a great team. And I'm going to be exonerated. I know I am, because this is all so wrong and all lies. So hang in there, and hopefully I'm out real soon, and back to work. And I love everybody for supporting me. Thank you.
So interesting, right? Having heard the analysis.
It's extremely interesting. And the other thing that I noticed just listening to that is how the words aren't coming easily for him. And that, to me, I just take that as somebody who's trying to speak casually, calmly, and look like they're off the cuff, also having internal reservations and hesitations about what should come out of their mouth next or what should not come out of their mouth next. Like, he's thinking hard and trying to look like he's not.
Well, you know what Phil Houston always says, Emily? He always says that a truth teller runs toward the truth. If the truth is your ally, you run toward it. So if you were accused of this horrible thing, a truth teller might sound like this. I did not lay a finger on those boys. I did not tickle their legs. I did not tickle their stomachs. And I certainly never touched their bottoms or their genitalia. These are lies, and we will prove they are lies. For now, I'm going to go deal with it in the criminal justice system. Like, you'd go right to the darkest allegations. You would not shy away from them. I did not do that, or that. There will never be any proof that I did that, because I didn't. You know, it's like, I'll just give you one silly example, but back when I was first starting my career at Fox, I was like a first-year reporter, I think, and some disgusting website printed a report that I was allegedly sleeping with Britt Hume, my boss, and his wife was my boss. She was the DC bureau head chief, and I was horrified. You know, I mean, like, I've never seen Britt personally in any capacity. Well, we've never had dinner together, nothing. Like, I saw him at the office. That was it, just like everybody else. And I was young and I was just starting out, so it really was undermining, you know, and I was angry about the report. And Britt made me feel better, because he came by and he was like, oh, you have to blow that off. You know, I was new. I didn't realize how disgusting the industry is back then. And he's like, you got to blow that off. And I was like, well, what do you mean? And he was like, Megyn, he's like, we didn't have an affair. There will never be any proof that we had an affair. There will never be a picture. There will never be a witness. There will never be an email. There will never be a text. There will never be anything. And so this story will go away because it's false. Like, it's not going to linger because there's nothing to it. And that's always stuck with me, you know. And so, like, if you were wrongly accused, I think you'd sound like that. A new year means new financial goals like making sure your savings are secure and diversified. Will this be the year you decide to talk to someone from Birch Gold Group? They use an educational approach with a deep understanding of macroeconomics. There are forces pushing the dollar lower right now and gold higher, which is why they believe every American should own physical gold. So until January 30th, if you are a first-time gold buyer, Birch Gold is offering a rebate of up to $10,000 on qualifying purchases. To claim eligibility and start the process, just text MK to 989898. Birch Gold can help you roll an existing IRA or 401k into an IRA in gold, and you are still eligible for a rebate of up to $10,000. Consider making right now your first time to buy gold and take advantage of a rebate of up to $10,000 when you buy by January 30th. Text MK to the number 989898 and claim your eligibility today. Again, just text MK to the number 989898 to check it out. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.